What is going on, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today we're just going to be talking about the 2023 Colorado ZR2s. We're just going to go over the specs of it, and we're just going to see the goodies about it. So we're just going to jump right into it, and we're just going to talk about it. So I'm sure I'm going to kind of be blasting some videos of it from GMC, some of their pictures that they allow you to download and stuff like that over my voice. So the 2023s are coming with a 2.7 liter turbo motor, which is it's a four cylinder. If you don't know the liter size, it's actually a pretty impressive motor, to be honest. It's putting down 310. This is the high output motor. So the high output motor is putting down 310 horsepower and 430 foot-pounds of torque, which is really good. That's for the diesel Gladiator, puts down 443 foot-pounds of torque. So you're only 13 foot-pounds of torque. So you should be able to spin almost 38s with this motor. With the gearing, I probably wouldn't, because you are at a 342 gears. With it, I would probably honestly go up to either a 410 or a 456. I think maybe if you go to a 513, it's going to be pretty aggressive. And the teeth are going to get pretty small. So I mean, personally, I'd probably only stick to like a 410, 456, and a 488, maybe even a little too strong for it too. But I mean, those are all still all good gears, especially if you go Yukon. Yukon is a good. So putting that much, torque down is pretty impressive. So like I just said, it comes with the 342 gears at the final drive. The nice thing is it comes with a front and rear locker. It looks like they're really advertising this as a Baja truck. So that's like comparing it to the Mojave Gladiator. You only get a rear locker in the Mojave. I mean, honestly, a rear locker is all you really need, especially if you're really rock crawling, because once you get that front lock, you're going to have a hard time steering. Yeah. You do get a the front suspension is an independent coilover shock, twin tube shock, multi DSSV dampening on the ZR2s, so you get that real nice gold shock. I personally never driven in one, so I don't know how it feels until mine shows up. I hear they're amazing shocks. I watched a couple of YouTube other videos, and they had the clear, like they just did a mold of it, of a see-through plastic, and you've seen how that thing works. It's actually pretty impressive. They said it does not get hot at all, so that's pretty cool. It is a solid rear end. I would have liked to see, because I don't really tow a lot, so I really don't need leaf springs. I would rather, even if they give me an option, which working in the car industry before and seeing how they would have to kind of change it up a little bit, but it probably wouldn't be that hard if they did coils in the rear, but you just get stuck with leaf springs, which is not the end of the world, but it is what it is. You do get a rack and pinion for your steering. I'm sure if it's like the Bronco, I know the Broncos, they were having some issues with their rack and pinion. So depending on how hard you go, and you may want to either upgrade, or I think they make some braces for it. So that may be something to look at if you are taking this thing seriously hardcore off-roading. It is a power assist rack and pinion, so we'll have to see how well they do. So brakes, it is disc all around, which is nice. No more drums. I don't think the other ones had drums on it, but I really don't know the previous generation, to be honest. Wheel size for the ZR2s they're coming with 17 by 8 inch rims, aluminum. They are, I mean, a standard size rim basically. You do have the option of getting beadlocks, but when I was ordering mine, I did not think an extra almost 10 grand. It was just a tad under 10,000. Because you get a bumper, it was a sweet bumper. I don't know if I would have kept it on there. You know, but it was winch ready. Beadlocks. You get a couple. You get a light bar and a thing or a rack in the back, which I was going to replace anyway. So me spending 10 grand was not worth it. So I'm planning on swapping out a bumper to put a winch on, and I'll probably just get a second set of rims and you know, for beadlocks, and probably a different size tire for when we go hit the trails, or a more aggressive tire. I could put my mud trains on one, and then, you know, if I'm driving it, you know, on a normal day, we can swap it out to just the you know, road tires or a little bit, or an all-terrain. So the overall length of a ZR2 is 212.7 inches, which that comes out to 212.7, 17 feet, just almost 18 feet. So that's a pretty decent sized truck. I can't remember what size the Gladiator was. The overall width is 84.4. That's standard on all of them, by the way. So both the length and the width is all the same. Oh, it's the cat. I was like, what the heck? So the overall height of the truck for the ZR2 is 81.9. So it is taller, because you do get a 2.5 inch lift out of it, and you get another inch out of, you know, because it comes with 33 inch tires. So that is nice. Let's see here. Let's go with ground clearance. Ground clearance for the ZR2 is a 10.7 inch ground clearance, which is nice because it is independent front suspension. So you don't have a pumpkin in the front. You do have a pumpkin in the rear. So I know, like the Gladiator, I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think the stock Gladiator, when I had my Mojave, when I measured it, it was like 9.7. So you do get about an inch more clearance than the Gladiator, so which is nice. And then with that comes with approach angles. For the ZR2, you get approach angle, so that's you coming up to the rock. You got a 38.3 degree angle, and my battery's about to die, and we're about to change out the battery. Sorry, I had to swap out my battery. So we just talked about the front approach angle. So departure angle, so that's when you're coming down from the rock. For the ZR2, you get 38.3 degrees, which is pretty good. You know, I went for the Moab with my Gladiator, and it did amazing. Of course, it was also on a 2-inch lift leveling kit from AEV, and it was sitting on 38. So I did have quite a bit of ground clearance. So I think if what I'm seeing from AEV, hopefully they come out with some good stuff, and I'm sure there's going to be a whole bunch of aftermarket to get a nice lift in. I think if I can get a 3-inch lift on this truck, 35s or 30. I'm probably gonna stop at 35s. I think 35 is actually a pretty decent sized tire. You know, I'm not personally going over. You know, I'm not gonna be taking this truck, you know, down Pritchett Canyon. You know, I'm not gonna set it up for that. I'm planning on just doing a lot of camping and overlanding, and you guys are gonna see this in my videos once the truck comes in. Angle Angle is for the ZR2 is a 24.6 degrees. So if you don't know what that is, that's from tire to tire, and you just take a straight line almost until they meet right in the middle. It's not bad. It's pretty. I would say pretty average number. We really don't need a headroom. We don't really need the headroom because everybody's different, in my personal opinion. Somebody may be shorter than me, taller than me. Hip room. You may be really skinny. You may be fatter than So that, I don't think that's really something that's we can skip over. Another big thing that people are going to be asking about: how much can it tow? How much can it put in the bed? So max towing for the ZR2, which is lower than all the other models, just because of, I'm guessing because of the shocks and the spring rates and everything else, is 6,000 pounds. It's quite a bit. I mean, honestly, for me that doesn't tow much. That's plenty. That's way plenty enough for me. If you got any of the other Trail Boss ZR1s, the WT or LT, they're all at 7,700 pounds. But 6,000 pounds for me is good enough. Max payload is it's compared to the other ones, it's a few hundred pounds less, but again, they're going spring rates and how they adjusted the ZR2, because it's not really meant to be towing. It ain't no semi. So the max payload is 1,151 pounds. It's good enough for me. If something breaks down in the house, I can run to the Lowe's, I can throw it in the bed and take off. I can go get some gravel if I got to run back a couple times, and it wouldn't bother me any. GVWR. I forgot what that stands for, because that's a lot for, I think that's gross vehicle weight rating, if I'm not mistaken. So that's including you, passengers, whatever's in your bed, whatever you're towing. So I think that's the overall combined, if I'm thinking right, and that's what it is. For the ZR2 is 6,200 pounds. So if that's including myself, my passenger, any of my cargo, anything in the bed and towing, it's still way plenty for me. If that's not enough, you're probably gonna have to go up to like a 1,500 at that point, because I think the 1,500s are gonna be a lot more, and they're just bigger, and they get the stronger axles, which is actually nice. Speaking of axles, not to kind of get sidetracked, the wheels can actually, GMC actually did a pretty decent thing, especially for the customers. If you like the wheels off of a 1,500, you can take those same rims and put them on the Colorado, same bolt pattern. So I know some of the trucks come with different style rims, so it actually also gives you a lot more flexibility on when you're doing your aftermarket tires. So that's pretty nice. So not a lot of companies do that. Everybody starts throwing different bolt patterns, so that's pretty sweet. I can't really talk about too much, but maybe the Ford, because the Ford just came out with the new Ford Ranger. I don't know what their bolt pattern is. I think that's, if they do their the F-150s, and if they do the same bolt pattern, I'm not 100% sure, but that is cool that they do that. So that's just the overcap of the ZR2. I think the ZR2 is going to be a fantastic truck. I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to do what I want it to do, especially for overlanding. I think it's going to be pretty awesome. And I'm going to try to push it as best as I can for my flexibility and getting out there camping. If we get a long weekend, we're going land between the legs. I'm gonna try to hit up Moab right away. I love the West, so Colorado. Depending on what time of the year this thing comes in, I probably would like to take 2 weeks off, or 2 weeks off, because I think I only got like 2 more weeks of vacation left, or about 2.5. So I would like to try to hit Colorado. I even on a long weekend, leave on a Thursday, come back on a Monday, and you know, because it's only for me from Wisconsin. I think Denver's 13 hours for me, so I mean I can make that in one sitting. So yeah, that's just like I said. That's just the overall video, or the overall specs of the Chevy Colorado, or the 2023 Colorado. Unfortunately, I don't have one here to have behind me or do more of a walkthrough. So when that comes through, I'm going to do a walkthrough. And my buddy, I'm trying to get my buddy to buy the AT4, which I just saw that they're starting to ship out, and they're probably going to come out first over the for what I'm reading. You know, I worked in the manufacturing, so it's kind of weird on how the manufacturers do all that. So yeah, that's basically it. It's a nice, simple. So if that's a truck you're looking into, especially if you're looking at just for this, to me this truck looks sexy. I think the new front end looks pretty sweet. So it does have the flow tie, the new flow tie that design. Most all the other bow emblems are solid. Doesn't let air through it. On the new ones, it's an open bow tie, so it allows more air to push through. I mean, I'm not an engineer by any means, but there's got to be something more behind it. So besides just letting really more air, I mean, so, and it looked like it's pretty an aggressive look. And I'm not sure about the Boss, about the Trail Boss, but I know the ZR2 comes with underbody plating. So for me, with factory skid plates, I'm always kind of hesitant on those because they're kind of made kind of cheap, but I don't know that's coming from the Wrangler side, and I know their stock stuff wasn't the greatest. It was just slapping a little thin piece of metal on it, and that was considered a skid plate. I mean, if you're going over nice and slow, it works, but I mean, if you're going to take a big hard beating on it, you're going to want something thicker, either aluminum or steel. So that's something I'll be looking at, just to protect the underbody, because that's kind of what you need to protect. So yeah, that's, like I said, that's basically the overall view, specs of the of it. So yeah, thank you. So we're gonna call this one good. So hit that like, subscribe, and thank you for watching. We'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.
Stop by later, maybe you're gonna fix something tea. You wanna grab something?